Welcome. Welcome everyone that's joining either right now or recorded. Welcome to the AYP 2020 Year in Review webinar. This webinar was born out of last month's board meeting where we did a report on what AYP is doing to our board. And half of our board didn't even know what we were doing, like all of the amazing things that we were accomplishing. And so we realized if our board doesn't know, then our donors and community probably does not know. And so we really wanted to give everyone an opportunity to understand where your time, your money, your effort goes, and what the past of AYP was, what 2020 is, and what our plans for the future is. So it is a webinar, different than a Zoom call, so you can ask questions in the Q&A, and Danielle will be answering them, and at point she'll interrupt to maybe answer questions. But beyond that, plan for listening and just listening for information. And the invitation that I give you is to listen for your accomplishment. I say that to all of the staff and to everyone on the call, to listen for your accomplishment and for what we were able to achieve within a very challenging year for all of us. So welcome, Karibu. Let's see, my problem is always tech. So 2020 year in review, here are some pictures of like our highlights of our year. I think a lot of you have seen the Global HHH documentaries on how our teachers' lives have changed, us giving out food, us sweating together, but also not to dismiss at the beginning of the year, we had some really powerful in-person programming with Power Yoga Canada and with Pablo from African Yoga and the Lamo Yoga Festival. And there are a lot of people that actually got to Kenya this year before COVID happened. So our purpose. So at AYP, we create opportunities for African youth to step into their greatness and become self-sustaining leaders in their communities. Registered as a nonprofit in the US and Kenya since 2009, AYP has trained over 400 yoga teachers or coaches across 21 countries in Africa. We run a 3-year employability academy teaching yoga as a vocation and an essential job and life skill to earn income in the well-being industry and beyond. AYP coaches build their communities by leading free outreach classes, providing tools for mental and physical health, and promoting change through service. And, our real question when COVID happened was, how do we maintain this mission when we're in a different context and in a different, we're in a different time of life? And I think we've really, I'm really proud of how we've done that. Danielle, like I said, will be live. There's Danielle answering questions in the chat. Please ask any questions, and also feel free to email Danielle at any point about questions, about our future, our past, our present, anything, but also in the chat. So why are we so proud of our collective impact and efforts in 2020? There's no other yoga program for marginalized communities in Africa that enhances youth employability, fosters positive civic engagement, creates access to physical and mental well-being tools, and supports the well-being value chain. In 2020, AYP has been able to continue operating and actually growing, and I really want to emphasize that. We've been able to continue operating and growing in response to COVID-19 pandemic, piloting online versions of existing programming and innovative ways of reaching beneficiaries and partners. One of my partners at Lululemon, Esther Speck, told me about a month or two ago, she's like, COVID takes any business and you either like sink or you transform to where you'll be 5 years from now. And I really feel like you and everyone on this call and my team, we transform to where we'll be 5 years from now. So this webinar is going to be really interactive as far as our team. So our next slide is a quote from a teacher. I mean, it's just so beautiful. I would have died, but now I can buy food. I can buy whatever I want. AYP has nurtured me to believe that I would be alive the next day. AYP has kept me busy. I can manage my time. At AYP, I've found family, and if I have nothing, they will always support me. Joseph from Nairobi. So I'm going to hand it over to Fred, who is Fred, who those of you don't know is our monitoring and evaluation guru, who has been working so hard at understanding and helping us understand what the impact of all of our work is.
Thank you so much, Paige. And thank you for having me, everyone. And welcome to our year in review. It's very interesting to start with the impact of the program. And I'll just be able to walk us through how we do impact in a very simple way. What we do is we mine impact using mixed methods. That means we deploy surveys, and then we also, to be able to get numbers, and then we also do stories with individual yoga teachers and even their students. It's really very interesting how this unfolds, because we find ourselves really immersed in their stories. And the most important thing for us usually is when we start seeing the change that comes as a result of what AYP does. That's really what inspires us to continue doing what we do. And when I talk about us, I talk about M&D team. It's a very interesting area. And so we do this either in person, or we also deploy some online tools, which could include Google Forms sometimes. And so the numbers you're seeing on the screen projected numbers that have come from evaluations that we've done previously. And it's also in line with the theory of change. And so 93% of academy graduates report securing income, generating opportunities as a result of AYP training. And that comes from the numbers. 100%, an overwhelming 100% of new academy enrollees feel that AYP improved their long-term earning potential. And this can also be seen from the stories that we do. We do case studies. Case studies is just an in-depth interaction with an individual to be able to dig out more in terms of stories. And we've been able to see from the case studies that teachers are talking about being able to make between 300 to 700 US dollars in a month. That's really huge from teaching yoga, apart from the amount of money they earn from the academy in terms of stipends. 2019 surveys as well, we were also able to see.
Can you hear me? I just want to add for context around that number between 300 and 700, that for context for the Americans or Europeans, that minimum wage in Kenya is between $100 and $150 a month. So just context that our teachers are able to earn double minimum wage or beyond.
Thank you, Paige. Yes, and I also wanted to add that by 2019 in the evaluation, we had 70% of our yoga teachers reporting that they're teaching private paying yoga classes, which actually is an indication that they're already tapping into the wellness industry, which is quite huge. It's worth is it 4.2 trillion US dollars, Paige? And it's slightly untapped in Africa. And so that's really a good step towards achieving what our goals are. Like I say, that teachers also report gains in mental clarity, confidence, helping them to approach potential clients. And again, when we do these case studies, what comes out very strong is that people are able to, from the community and the psychosocial support that we get from the program. Most of the teachers talk about self-confidence. Most of the teachers also talk about a safe space where they come to discover that, oh, okay, people can also listen to me and such kind of stuff. Now, this gives them the confidence to be able to even go out there and look for classes. So that is really contributing hugely towards teachers now having that confidence to go out and look for or market their yoga classes and be able to make money out of it. And that's huge. I look at that and it's mind blowing. Then an overwhelming 99% of teachers again report better decision making after joining the program. So that means the life skills, the invaluable life skills that we are also delivering to teachers in the academy is bearing fruits. We are having teachers realizing, okay, I don't need to get very emotional when we have conversations with them during focus group discussions, during case studies. They talk of, previously I was very emotional when I was making decisions. Now I've realized that I really need to think, I really need to reevaluate before I finally come to conclusion. And that is also revealed in the numbers. And then 92% report improved ability to relate positively with others, making them role models in their communities. Again, from case studies, you see people talk of, I previously was quite timid. I couldn't stand in front of people. I couldn't relate with people. I had a case study which was really touching, some case studies which were really touching in Rwanda, where people felt, where someone really talked of being very bitter with everyone. He actually saw everyone with the lens of violence because of the acute and traumatic experiences that they went through as a child, or that they actually they saw as a child. Now, with AYP and joining teacher training and the experience and the safe space that has been opened, people get to realize that, okay, so we have people here who really care. We have people here who are keen to listen to me despite my background. And I find that really, really amazing. And so it really becomes a whole turning point in their life that they get to realize that I can relate better with people. And that is reflected in the numbers. Teachers report healing from trauma and drug. Again, that is also very interesting, and it's coming out very strong in case studies, where I'm seeing a big shift in behavior change. People talk of, my behavior has changed. People drop crime. People detach from crime. They drop drug use, which is also very good. But again, I will highlight the Rwandan case where we had people who experienced trauma due to genocide at a very tender age. And they have lived with this bitterness. And in that context and that setup, you're not even supposed to talk about some of these issues. And when they came to teacher training, then they realized that there is space where we can talk about some of these issues. There's space where people would be able to listen to me. And that became a starting point towards them really healing. And one of them is an amazing, amazing student. I mean, children's yoga teacher. And I love it. I know Nyakinyo will talk about it later on. I do not want to mention them at this point, but I look at that case study and I see huge transformation. Then 90%, sorry, there's a message on my screen. 90%, let me just get rid of the message. Okay, thank you. 90% of teachers report improved physical well-being and 94% improved mental well-being. Again, I've seen cases where we have, especially with the yoga students, which I'll also be talking about later on. In Rwanda, we have a group of women who are slightly older. They're between 36 and above. They're actually 36 and above. And what struck me out of that story when we were having conversations with them, when we were doing evaluations, is that they're talking about reduction in cases of illness. They just they would get ill, they would get sick more frequent previously, but with yoga practice, they don't get ill anymore. And if they do, they get healed pretty fast. Some of them were talking about back pains before, and now with yoga, they feel a lot better and they're able to cope. Maybe if we could move to the next slide. Thank you. Sorry, just go back. Did I miss a slide? Thank you. There you go. So in terms of community outreach impact, 96% of students report improved self-esteem from yoga practice, 90% an improved ability to cope with stress, and 96 an increased social support network. Some of the students find Shine Center and other spaces where they practice yoga as the only places where they're able to interact, the only places where they're able to meet people who can support them when they feel like their chips are down, so to say. Students also report yoga provides a safe space and helps in the emotional regulation. In 2020, our outreach numbers took a dip during the transition to online classes, but these numbers have since increased as online teaching skills improved and teachers leverage on delivery channels. We had an average of around 5,000 pre-COVID, but with COVID, we had a really strong dip. And I'm happy that, despite this being uncharted waters, we quickly re-engineered things and we moved online. And I have to acknowledge and appreciate the team that actually happened pretty fast. And we got the numbers back on track. And today I can comfortably say that we, year to date, we have 124,377 Savasana. So those are yoga experiences to date. And we have been able to deliver 11,110 yoga classes despite the pandemic. I really want to say that this could not have happened without the support of our donors, with the support of all our donors. This could have not happened. I really feel greatly indebted to you guys, and we thank you so much. I want to leave you with an amazing quote from one of the yoga teachers from Nakuru. I love this quote, and this we picked from the responses that we got from the Global Wellbeing Leadership Challenge, where the Changemaker Grant, where we've been, teachers have been supporting their communities. And the quote says, "The experience was an eye-opener. It made me more aware of the socio-economic challenges my community is facing, especially in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic. I discovered that I can be an instrument of change, an ambassador of hope, and play a greater transformational role in the community." Teachers completely discovered they have huge potential in terms of leadership that they were just sitting on. They discovered that they are people who can be able to manage stuff. They can coordinate stuff. They can plan, put together all the plans and execute them super well. And this is what actually was being revealed from the reports. I know someone else will be able to touch on that, but I just wanted to give context to this quote. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Over
much.
to you, Paige.
Yeah, thank you so much, Fred. Sorry, I was interrupting because I got the most amazing message, and I swear on my life, like I get so many. You guys can hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you. Yeah, I get so many messages like, "Oh my God, you're always asking for money." And I swear this webinar was not about asking for money. It was really about giving you guys the opportunity to hear what we're doing. And we just got an incredible text from one of our core donors, Michael, who said that anybody who donates today up till midnight, he'll match up to $5,000. So that's so crazy and generous. And I really had no idea. Like, I swear on my life, I had no idea. But if, as you're listening to this webinar, if you are inspired, which I'm totally inspired by the impact, and you want to give, whether it's $10, $100, or $5,000, Michael will match it. And that's like crazy and unexpected. And thank you, Mr. Schwepp, my student. But we'll keep going, but I'll keep reminding you guys of that. But really, I swear that wasn't the intention of the webinar. But if while you're online and you can give $1 or $2 or 100, it'll all be matched. Okay, so Julie, thank you, for amazing, and thank you so much for doing above and beyond. So we're keeping this webinar to an hour, so we'll go through our slides pretty quickly. We have a lot of them. Julie's going to go through our theory of change, and basically the way that our whole presentation is put together is like, what was AYP before COVID? How did we innovate this year, and what's our plans for next year? So Julie will walk us through our theory of change and the context. And Julie's our incredible Academy director, who a lot of you know already, but she's the guru, the face, the teacher of our Academy.
Thank you, Paige. Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for your support. And thank you so much for giving us hope and keeping us going. Okay, so theory of change. AYP's theory of change is split into 3 bits. So like Paige said, we'll talk about what we have been doing and what our plans are, what's going on and what our plans in the future are. So today it's not only about what we have been doing, but we're also letting you in on the secret on what we are planning to do so that we can be joint creators in that. So yes, our theory of change comes in 3. The first is employability and civic engagement, and then the well-being value chain. And after this, I'll give you a little bit of context on why it came to those 3 things. But first, when we talk about employability in AYP's context, we talk about educate, empower, elevate, and expand employability with youth from marginalized communities in Africa using the transformational practice of yoga. So that's what we mean by employability. And in that particular sphere of things, our 2021 goal there is to create access to AYP's employability programs for teachers and partner organizations across the continent and even beyond. And we're looking at a hybrid virtual or in-person format. And so we've seen a lot of need this year. We've been experimenting and we've realized that we need to create, in this digital world, we need to create the skills, the online teaching, the marketing skills, and the capabilities that are essential so that they can be successful, well-being entrepreneurs in today's world, which is important so much. And that's in the employability space. So we are thinking both digitally and in person. And the next is civic engagement. So traditionally, people usually think civic engagement from the political side of things. In AYP, we are looking at it as creating opportunities for marginalized youth to act as well-being leaders, to bring physical and mental health practices to their communities and promoting change through service. And for that, our 2021 goal is to make critical physical and mental well-being practices safely available. We'll also share about this later with the issue of mental health. In many an African contexts, mental health is a very alien thing. It's like for those people over there who have issues. Us, once we get money, we'll be fine. But we are quickly starting to realize that that is not the truth, that is not the case. We are suffering with a lot of traumas. But so we are looking at live and virtual formats to broad population, regardless of the location on connectivity, really creating that space for people to become leaders and actually to lead the change from the front. The third one is the well-being value chain. So AYP aims to grow the well-being industry in Africa by developing employable well-being leaders in partnership with global industry players. So as Fred and Paige mentioned earlier, $4.2 trillion is the well-being industry. If we look at like just yoga and especially yoga that travels across distances, it's about 600 billion. When you travel specifically for yoga, that's about 600 billion. And in Africa, our chunk of that is like 0.1 billion, sorry. So that's only 100 million. And I remember in business class, they said that is like prime growth space there for us to really grow this industry forward. And we want to grow it with people who are in and from Africa to lead that change within the continent. So our 2021 goal there is to create sustainable opportunities for African well-being leaders to access income-generating opportunities from global markets through these digital platforms. So let's go in a bit about the context on why it is these three particular items: employability, civic engagement, and well-being value chain. Can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, so the context. Why these three things? Why employability? Why well-being value chain? Why civic engagement? So let's talk about employability. So according to the World Bank, 84.5% of the population of sub-Saharan Africa lives below the poverty line. In 2015, more than half of the global poor resided in sub-Saharan Africa. So in Africa, we've kind of split. So there is like from the Sahara Desert, and then there's what's up there, and then there's what's below. So that's what we mean by sub-Saharan Africa. Because sometimes above that can sometimes gel into the Middle East and all those other regions. So we usually always say sub-Saharan Africa. So youth are more likely to be poor than working adults. And it's just an issue of time. Like if you've had the time to create yourself and work at something, you probably would be better off. So we have 39% of employed youth living in extreme poverty as compared to 31% of employed adults. And sometimes it's not just that when you're employed, things will be good. Many of these youth are getting in work conditions that are not healthy. They're being put at risk, they're being underpaid, they're being overworked, and just generally an environment that is not catering to their well-being. And so that's about that's why we came up with the employability part of things. How do we change that through the employability part? And then we are talking about the civic engagement now. So right now, as we're speaking, the projection in 2050 is that our population will increase from 1.2 billion to 2.2 billion in 2050. And then think about 60% of that population currently, right now, is under the age of 24. So let's think about that for a moment. In AYP, we are targeting the age group of 18 to 35. Majority are falling into this 18 to 24 bracket. Then, on the other hand, we have chronic diseases. Cancer, heart disease, kidney failure, by 2030 will account for 42% of all deaths in Africa. As at today, it's at 25%. And the poorest are among the most at risk. Because if I am suffering from kidney failure, I can't afford insurance. I probably can't get to the nearest hospital. So for me, it just gets from bad to worst to worst. And that is why the civic engagement part is so important, that when our teachers are going back to their communities and teaching yoga for free, they're actually able to provide people with tools to manage these diseases. And then now that can be able to open them up to more ideas and, things about how to manage the disease better and give them a fighting chance. Finally, when we talk about the well-being value chain, I mentioned this previously. Mental health is traditionally taboo in Africa, and tools for stress reduction are not as accessible to the marginalized. And the impact of lifestyle diseases can be reduced by physical and mental well-being practices. And this has been proven. Study upon study has shown that, yes, it doesn't, like if you're suffering from depression, it doesn't mean that you do a yoga class and like, that I'm done, I'm ready, I'm fine. But when you have this practice of yoga, you can practice some tools to help you manage and in time work through your trauma and finally become actually contributing, be able to become joyful, be able to deal and manage your depression, your anxiety, and many other mental health issues that we are suffering from today. So yeah, that's the context. That's why we are here.
Thanks so much, Julie. And then to add to that context, obviously for all of us on the call is COVID. And I think it's no surprise as we get into our programs that our challenge, if any of you guys are Trevor Noah fans like I am, or Daily Show fans like I am, Google, Africa, COVID, Daily Show, and Trevor does a great skit on how well Africa has managed COVID, which we have. from the from the COVID perspective. But the economic perspective and the risk of poverty when you cannot social distance, police brutality as a way to manage not mask wearing or adhering to curfews, we've been experiencing a lot of challenges. So I just wanted to give that context as well, that during COVID, we have a very, the socioeconomic impact has been severe. And that's why, as you get into hearing more about our programs, it's really what we're trying to address. For those of you that are just joining again, I apologize. It's not supposed to be a fundraising webinar. It is now, though, and I love fundraising. So Michael Schwepp, who actually is a doctor, like imagine a doctor, someone who's on the front lines of managing COVID in the US, has generously offered to match up to $5,000 that anyone donates. So please donate while you're on the webinar. Okay, so in 2009, what was one of our core programs was 200-hour yoga teacher training. A lot of you know that. The training was largely funded by individual donors, our assisting team. We had a group of, almost 100 ready for 2020, and we had to cancel. And our assisting team has been so awesome to support us along the way. In 2019, we trained 77 new teachers from 19 countries. And this year we had to cancel our teacher training. But we had an innovation. So in 2020, we canceled our normal teacher training, but last month we ran a 5-week non-residential teacher training for 11 scholars in Mombasa, Kenya. And really interesting, 2 were from street families, 1 had special needs, and 2 were in recovery from addiction. And the reason they came to teacher training was we were teaching yoga at their addiction recovery center. And I was at that teacher training, and I just can't tell you how inspiring it was to be at the edge of risk of COVID, and yet also the dedication of these young people. What's really awesome about it, it's the first time we've had a 200-hour teacher training outside of Nairobi. We realized that it worked. We have an incredible community now in Mombasa, and even more incredible, we had a virtual assisting team, and a lot of you are on the call, and I really want to thank you, because one of the core values of our program is global community. And, we are obviously, it was so funny today on Uber Eats, you guys know Uber, right? Uber Eats, one of the sections, it's like pizza, sushi, Black-owned businesses, but in Kenya. I was like, well, I know the panelists will laugh. I was like, we're in Kenya, it's Black-owned businesses, most are Black-owned businesses. Julie's laughing. But what I'm connecting the dots here is that we are really committed to Black Lives Matter, and we're really committed to that global community matters, and us all coming together and having voices together matters. And our virtual assisting team really was part of us being able to fulfill on that, as we had this new type of pod teacher training. In 2021, our goals are, it's funny because for years, guys, everyone said, how are you gonna scale? How are you gonna bring, Africa Yoga Project to different countries? And we went through so many exercises about thinking about it. And it's like COVID gave us the opportunity to say, well, maybe this pod model is a way. So we're looking to implement a series of these trainings in new geographies in 2021. The smaller size of the training and the non-residential basis allows for social distancing if that's something that we need to do for the next year. It can be run through a combination of in-person and live pre-recorded content. We're going to be looking for strong, when I say local partners, I mean partners outside of Nairobi that can host the trainings and host the young people in the trainings to be in our academy. So we're already in conversations about doing this in South Africa and Tanzania with really strong partners. And if there's anyone on the call that has a strong partner that wants to recommend, email Danielle. But we're really excited that, not being able to gather in person as we usually do will not stop our teacher trainings in 2021. And what I want you to hear on the call is if you're someone who would want to assist a teacher training, you would still be able to do that virtually and make a significant contribution to us, which is really exciting. So that's teacher training. And I'm going to hand it back to Julie to talk about the Academy.
Yes, thank you again. So yes, the Academy. So for those of you who are not aware of the AYP, shall I say, structure. So after you've done your 200-hour teacher training, I'm talking about marginalized youth has come in, they've done their 200-hour, the next step is to go into the Academy. So initially in 2019, let me call it that time when it was business as usual, we had our teachers who are based in Nairobi come in to attend in-person weekly sessions. So we'd learn job skills, life skills, essentially learning how to treat yoga as a profession, a vocation. So the Academy participants who are outside Nairobi would receive summaries of the content we've gone through. Let's say on that particular day, we are talking about social media. So they'd get an email with an attachment saying, this is what we discussed, or this is an assignment that you can do. And we had each teacher, all participants, paired with an individual in the global well-being industry. I remember Paige mentioning the secret sauce of AYP, our mentors. And so they would be able to act as a mentor, supporting our teachers' professional growth as well-being entrepreneurs, and partially funding their participation in the Academy. So the Academy is a learn and earn program. So they're in the Academy learning, but they're also able to earn an income while they are learning. So that was where we were at in 2019. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, so this is Nancy. Nancy is my colleague. We did our teacher training together in 2017. And this is what she had to say about the Academy at the time. AYP has given me skills for teaching yoga that I did not have before. Now I feel confident that I can go to big organizations and talk to big bosses and market yoga sessions without fear of being judged. Thank you so much, Nancy. She'll be graduating this year in our ceremony that's happening on the 18th. Stay tuned. Yes. So this is what 2020 now look like. When we are thinking about COVID is here, what do we do? So we had 115 teachers from 10 countries. And we had this vision to create a hybrid online program that has online and then in-person bits. And we had to plan, okay, we need content to go on there, a full curriculum. We need pre-recorded sessions, live sessions. But since we weren't able to hold the in-person Academy session since March, we shifted and we thought, what's available? What can we do now to be of service to our teachers and still fulfill the promise of the program? And we thought Google Classroom. So Google Classroom right now is a free platform facilitating our Academy as it lives online. So we have discussions, we're able to share content, we're able to have the teachers engage. And so once we had this on, we are thinking, oh, what next? How next can we grow from this? And thanks to having that innovation, we're able to provide teachers with the cost of airtime. So we can send them airtime, they can be able to log in, participate, regular calls, content on Classroom. And we're able to see 97% engagement through Google Classroom. And out of that percentage, we had 76% approval rating. So these are people who said, yes, they're benefiting. Yes, they're feeling a shift. Yes, it's able to do for me what the Academy promised to do for me. And now bringing the Academy online has actually enabled us to have a better reach to the 62 teachers who are based outside Nairobi at the time, so that they can benefit from a deeper level of the Academy content, which wasn't the case in 2018. I mentioned we were just sending an email. But now we are looking at that. What does it look like to have a fully integrated digital academy? So this is what our plan for 2021 is. We plan to have a fully fledged hybrid online and in-person academy. Moving forward, to have a high quality pre-recorded sessions for the full curriculum we offer, on the mat, off the mat, and these will be disseminated with the live sessions for discussion, and then there are those that will also be recorded. And so we're going to offer these modules, and included in there now are the digital skills, the necessary digital skills that we need. How do we create virtual well-being entrepreneurs? It's a very different feel when you're in person and when you're doing a virtual thing. So we want to create what I would call the super powerhouse of yoga teachers who will deliver the class in person and then also deliver the virtual program in whichever case may be. So this digital marketing is really, really key to the success of our teachers. And that's something we want to dive deep when we have the digital academy up and running. And so this content will be accessible through an e-learning management system. And we're currently in the process of actually shopping for that, talking to different providers, seeing what they can offer so that we can come up with a really robust system that works well for our teachers, easy to use, and can be able to get the content ready and willing, not only for the marginalized youth within Africa, but even beyond, all the opportunities that are possible to happen. We'll also create the train the trainer modules. So we've spoken about working with strong partners. And this is what Paige said, if you're knowing somebody, if in your head you're thinking of a name, let us know so we can reach out and have that conversation. So you're looking for organizations with complementary missions. Either they are serving beneficiaries similar to us, like for us it's marginalized youth, or they are using sport for good models. And so we can deliver the academy program in partnership with AYP, essentially expand AYP's reach. We are talking about scaling, going further, really getting to those marginalized people. There's only so much you can do in person, and there's a lot more you can do virtually. And then now together, there's really nothing we cannot do with this academy. So yeah, that's what you have to. Thanks, Paige.
Thank you, Julie. So we're going to talk about how we've changed our outreach classes. But what I want to remind you is, again, that there's a $5,000 match for anyone who donates up till midnight tonight. And why I say that is also, like, as Julie's talking about the new programs, one of the costs that we've been incurring that we never had to incur is sending all the teachers airtime. Internet is very expensive in Kenya. And so those of you that are in our SSS tribe, that are on our team, that have been donating, that's where your money, a lot of it's been going, you know, besides the Changemaker grants, is getting the teachers online. And we're fundraising for being able to get the teachers online, and then being able to get the right trainers so that they know how to do digital marketing. So please donate. We've already raised $330. We'd love to get to the 5,000, but whatever you can give, please donate during the webinar. And I think I'm handing it over to Nakinwa. Is that true? And maybe
yes.
A little short on time, Nakinwa, so we'll just move through it.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Paige. So basically, what Julie has talked about sort of wraps up this, and our academy participants, once they've gone through the 200-hour teacher trainings, they set up and teach free yoga classes in their communities and earn a stipend per class in a learn and earn model. So that's why they go through the academy, as well as teach yoga through their communities and also have the mentor calls. So this creates access to physical and mental well-being tools for the marginalized communities, which allows the teachers to serve as well-being leaders in their own communities. So it's not only creating yoga teachers, but well-being leaders. So in 2019, AYP teachers led a total of 21,100 free yoga sessions, delivering 314,443 yoga experiences. And this translates to 6,097 community students per week on average. And this is to people who may not have had access to yoga. You know, in communities, that marginalized communities are people who will never have had access to yoga in a, you know, in a paying setup. So in 2020, what has happened is since mid-March, we have paused in-person outreach classes due to the COVID-19, and hence moved the teaching online. So our teachers have been teaching via different online platforms like Google Hangouts, Zoom, Instagram, and Facebook Live. Some people have been pre-recording classes and sending to their students. There's also WhatsApp video. And for my friends in Rwanda, they've been using conference call actually. And I found that was very, so with the limited connectivity, they found success in teaching through phone calls. So just having a conference call with the students. And this has been successful in terms of giving teachers experience teaching online, although attendance has been a challenge because data or airtime have been cost for the, data or airtime for students are quite a cost, and most students would rather use the money they would have used on airtime or data to, you know, like buy food or for the basic needs. So that's one of the challenges that we've encountered. AYP has also led a Changemakers grant program, which we call the Global Wellbeing Leadership Challenge, where the teachers utilize skills learned in the academy to identify the most pressing needs in their communities. And then they've designed and implemented a community response program and report on how they spent the money. And impact storytelling. So through this program, we reached 18,852 individuals with essential goods such as food, water, and hygienic products, as well as well-being practices. And this has been amazing, especially for teachers to discover what impact, you know, like when you say less goes a long way. And this has happened because of your generous contribution. So our goals for 2021 is to enhance access for well-being at home. So under pandemic circumstances where classes are not safe to hold in person, our teachers will continue to teach free community classes community classes online. And we will, as Julie was talking about moving the academy online, we will also continue to train and equip the teachers to generate pre-recorded content to share with their students via low bandwidth channels such as WhatsApp. And this could look like shorter or more accessible well-being practices such as breathing, meditations, inquiry, or you can call introspection, prompts, and basic stretches that can be done in small spaces. So we would be seeking to book TV and radio slots to create mass access to well-being practices. And because like here in Kenya, radio has a huge reach to different people. So we have been in discussions with a Pan-African corporate on sponsoring such content, and we're hoping that that is going to go through.
Yeah, and Kina's going to continue, but I'll put as an aside that we're doing another round of Changemaker grants this December to be able to help people during the holiday season. And again, you know, if this corporate grant doesn't go through, one of the things that we would use your funds for is buying radio time to get meditation and yoga out to people, because it is the main way that most people get information is through the radio and TV. And then Nakina is going to continue because she's really been leading, she's a counselor and has been leading a lot of this work that we've been doing in mental health. I'll hand it back over to you, Nakina.
Thank you, Paige. So yes, I believe Julie mentioned earlier that mental health in Africa is a taboo. However, AYP developed a trauma-informed yoga curriculum in collaboration with Catherine Cook-Cotton, who is a PhD researcher in psychology based from the University of Buffalo. And this curriculum includes mental health first aid, which is delivered as a full-time in-person teacher training over the course of the week. And we did deliver this training in Mombasa over the course of the week during the pod teacher training. This training has also previously been delivered in Kenya, in Somalia, and in Rwanda. In Rwanda, we delivered the training last year, and the teachers there have done an amazing job at taking the mind-body well-being yoga to their communities. So the program is being verified through formal academic research. Initial findings from this research suggest a strong positive impact on the students and a significant change in like how one views themselves and a sense of belonging in their communities. So in 2020, we expanded access to mental well-being tools and practices. We scheduled to deliver the MBW program to our yoga teachers based in Kakuma refugee camp in Kenya. And due to COVID, we would not go there in person. So we redesigned it so that it is delivered virtually. And what we did is had a pre-recorded content which the teachers get to watch prior to coming into a Zoom call where we had a discussion. And actually, I've been leading one of those today. So we've had one of those today and tomorrow. We'll also have another one tomorrow. So we're already in week 4, actually. I can't believe how time went fast. Just to add on to mind-body well-being is that we also delivered this through the online Google Classroom for the Digital Academy, although that was more in writing and not in like recorded content or one-on-one content. On the other hand, we noted a spike in safeguarding issues globally due to stresses of the pandemic, you know, from having to stay home, the isolation, losing work. So we provided our staff and teachers with a series of virtual trainings from experts in gender-based violence and child safeguarding to help them identify members of their community who may be affected. And we also developed a referral database of specialist organization, which I believe is very important to have a database where you can go back when you need support for a specialized organization or personnel. And then we also adapted the MBW content, which I spoke about earlier, particularly the mental aid, first aid tools. So it was delivered to our teachers via the Google Classroom as part of their content. Finally, our goals for 2021 is to enhance our focus on the importance of yoga and meditation for well-being. So studies have shown that meditation may be able to strengthen the immune system, and it's proven to manage and alleviate anxiety, stress, and depression. So all of which are heightened by being in a pandemic situation. So we're increasingly emphasizing mental well-being in the way we deliver yoga and mindfulness practice. So incorporating mindfulness and inquiry more into the asana or the yoga, the physical yoga practice. So we're also looking to build the hybrid in-person and live virtual format of the MBW training, mind-body well-being training that we have developed for our Kakuma program into a comprehensive offering, which will incorporate digital curriculum design components, which can be offered to partner organizations. So if you think this is something that could suit you or your yoga studio, you can definitely reach out to us. This could be especially valuable to other sports for good organizations or those using embodied practices. And it could represent, sorry, just a minute. So it could represent an additional income stream for AYP as a form of social franchising. So we're looking forward to partnering with you. Thank you. Paige, before, can I just say something about mind-body mental health, is that we also added mental health webinars for our teachers where we were able to address mental health issues and address tools and resources that one can go to should they need mental health support. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Nikinwa. And you know, I'd rather go over time than ignore that very important issue, which Nakinwa and Fred have really been leading, which is that, you know, our teachers are suffering a lot of depression and anxiety, and our students as well. And they've done an amazing job of using webinars in a very low resourced environment, which we live in. We are going to go over time, probably by about 20 minutes, and we will send the recording out as well as the slideshow out for anyone who needs to jump off. We've raised $586 already, so that's awesome. Like we said, Michael Schwepp will match up to $5,000, and again, he's an amazing doctor. He's on the front lines of all of this, so I find that so generous of him to want to support us. I'm going to go through, so my point is, if you can even donate $1 right now, it'll all be matched, and that would be awesome because we have a lot that we want to do next year. So I'm going through our core program. Those of you that know AYP is the Shine Center. It's this incredible community center where people get yoga, water, Wi-Fi, the academy, food, learning space, friendship. My daughter always says she wouldn't have even been an idea without the Shine Center. You know, many magic comes out of it. And every Saturday we host over 300 people. So it was a big deal, like COVID was a big deal for that. And we had to close the Shine Center, and I can't say that's all like roses, you know, we really miss it. We miss gathering as a huge group. But we have, I won't say replaced, but those of you that participated in Global Healthy Happy Hour, when we've had, you know, 200, 300, 400, 500 people in the middle of the night for us, practicing yoga and dancing, it certainly has been as close as we can get to a Saturday class. And we've raised over $200,000 for our Changemaker grants through the Global Healthy Happy Hour. And I think Nakinwa took you through the 18,000 people that we've been able to help so far. We've also really given our teachers a voice. As some of you are DMing me about my hair, okay? We like have made our teachers like be able to get like hair and makeup done and like shoot really professional videos that are in the context of Black Lives Matter, to really share what is it like to be a young Black Kenyan, mostly because we've been doing them in Kenya, teaching yoga, and how do we incorporate those messages during yoga. And all of those videos are on our Instagram, and if you haven't watched them, watch them, they're incredible. So basically what I'm trying to say is that we have not had the Shine Center, but we have seen the opportunity of going virtual and have created other opportunities for our teachers to share their voices and to create global community. And it's led to a giant, huge idea that would take way more than the 5 minutes I have, which is that we want to create the like African yoga glow. We want to create the largest platform of African well-being content, whether it's meditation, yoga, spiritual advice, the sutras, and we want it to be income generating for our teachers. And we really see the opportunity of COVID to have fast forwarded this vision, to be able to say, you know, our market or our student population that we could teach was in front of us pre-COVID, and all of a sudden now it's global post-COVID because people are doing their yoga online. So we will have to raise a significant amount of funds to create a recording studio, to get lights and microphones and tripods and train people and create the platform. But in 2021, you will be hearing from us, just like a capital campaign, of building a building, of building this online platform that does not exist right now. To be honest, a lot of the online platforms to get yoga are quite Western. And what I can say is our teachers are awesome. Like, they're just beyond talented, and their voices need to be heard. And you guys need to donate and need to help us create this platform so that their voices can be heard globally. And we'll probably even pitch it to like investors, because it'll be profitable, hopefully for everyone. So if you're one of our donors that are on the call, like an institutional donor, you'll hear from us too as we really develop our pitch deck for this Share Your Yoga campaign. Oh, and it's going to be super cool. Like when you log on, you're going to see a map of Africa, and you can decide like what country you want to practice in. And then our vision is also that you'll like learn about that country. Like if you want to practice in Ghana, like you'll learn about what food they eat. Because by the way, Africa is not a country. It's a continent. And even in Kenya, we have like 43 tribes. Is that true? 42, 43? Anyone help me? 3, right? 43? 43 tribes, 43 languages, 43 cultures. We're not just Africa, where we have so much richness to share with you guys. And I want to live in a society where my daughter can share that powerfully, and this platform will do that. And so I'm going to pass this to Danielle to talk about how our programs that you guys in the West that usually get involved in, how they've evolved over the course of COVID.
Thanks, Paige. Hey, everyone. My name is Danielle. I'm the community manager for AYP. Most of you know me. We've probably talked. Before I say anything about what you're seeing on the slide right now, I want to say, just from my own heart, I know we've said it a couple times already, but thank you so much, Michael, for your generous grant matching. That was not anything we expected, and that was so amazing. And I also want to say happy birthday to you, Michael. To give on your birthday is like just so special, and I hope you receive it back tenfold.
Oh my God.
All right, so let me get into this. So, pre-COVID times, a lot of what we do involved traveling, and we obviously don't have that capability right now, or it's very limited. So just to give you the context of what it was like, we have done a couple different programs over the years, and most of them run a few times per year. So we did Save Us Safaris, which is where people travel from all over the world to come to Kenya, and they work on a project with our teachers and our teams. And that could be anything from like building a school to putting in plumbing for toilets in a school or like a community gathering space, to teaching our teachers a new skill. Like the YAD team has come a couple of times, and other people have brought various yoga tools as well, so our teachers get new skills that way. So it can be any of those different ways that the program plays out, but the basis of it is a group comes from around the world to Kenya and works with our team to deliver something amazing. And then we also have HHH tours, which is where our teachers would travel mostly from East Africa at this point to the US, mostly at this point, with plans to expand that, but who knows what's gonna happen with this now. We'll see, more on that in a minute. But yeah, so they would travel to the US with the intention to fundraise, but also have a really powerful experience in learning about what yoga looks like in the West, and how studios are run and how businesses are run in the world of yoga. So they would get all kinds of experience with different studios, like yoga in the park type events, festivals, all kinds of ways that we present yoga in the West. And then we have ambassadors, who are individuals that raise a large sum of money. An ambassador commits to $10,000. This is actually how I got involved with AYP to start. It was the most fun year of my life. So ambassadors raise $10,000, and then they come to Kenya and they get a 2-week trip where they experience like basically everything we're doing on the ground, like everything that you've heard being talked about, that's what happens with ambassadors. They get to experience that firsthand. And then they present a special workshop. So they bring a new skill for our teachers in the academy. And then we have YTT Assisting Team, which you heard a little bit about before. But the basis of that is kind of like a Save a Safari. They come from all over the world and they help us run our 200-hour teacher training. And they are the people who actually fundraise and sponsor our scholars to go through the training. So the way we pivoted and innovated, in March, and it all happened so fast, but we did such a great job. We had to cancel everything this year. You heard about that a little bit from Paige before, and we had so much planned. So it was really sad and really hard for us to wonder, like, what do we do now? But we innovated, and so we created a bunch of new, really cool things that a lot of you have been part of. And if you haven't, you should check it all out. You can find out all the information on our Instagram. But those things are Global Healthy Happy Hour, which is a weekly, or it's not weekly anymore, it's a once a month, like Afro beats, yoga, party, fun yoga practice. Weekly stretch and relaxation class. That is a weekly class still. It's every Wednesday, and it is like a relaxing class, like deep stretches, super chill, really good for anyone, and also really good for like taking time out of your week to serve yourself. Then we have a yoga philosophy study group, which happens every week. And that's where we talk about, the philosophy of yoga, like what's the off the mat kind of stuff. And it's for anyone. It's not just for people who do yoga. It's conversations that are courageous and powerful about just how to be a good human. And then Sweat, Serve, Share, we've done twice so far, and we have a third one coming. Sweat, Serve, Share Challenge was a 10-day challenge that we basically send daily content to everyone participating, and you get yoga, meditation, and inquiry, and a workout. And so you get all these great, amazing habits for 10 days, like funneled into your life. And then, the whole goal is to find a tribe within that challenge. All of our people who participate in it, it's all like through WhatsApp and Facebook groups and things like that. And to find a tribe who will help you stay, invested in yourself through healthy habits, starting with the 10 days. And then the pod virtual assisting team was the way that we innovated having assistants work with our teacher trainees. So you heard that we innovated to a pod group for teacher training, and we did end up running a teacher training much smaller than usual, and we had virtual assistants. So they created content through videos, and we shared it to the teacher training group scholars, and then also they had one-on-one mentorship, so they got to work individually with the scholars too. And then what's coming up? I actually typed this top blurb. I don't usually just read right off a slide, but I'm going to read it to you because I typed it like straight from my head and heart when I was making this. So we can't possibly know what the future of travel will be like, but the one thing we do know is that the global cultural exchange is possible in person and virtually. We discovered that this year in a big way. We do want to resume travel programs when possible and safe. And most importantly, we're committed to continuing to create and innovate ways for our global community, that's you, to connect with AYP and our teachers and our team. Here's what we've got in the idea space for 2021 and the near future. We want to grow the Sweat, Serve, Share tribe. That's how I was saying, like the Sweat, Serve, Share challenge led to tribes that, help keep you accountable for your healthy habits. We're going to run a round 3 Sweat, Serve, Share challenge, the 10-day program. We are hoping to have another virtual assisting team, so join, because that was a really fun thing that we didn't even expect to be as amazing as it was, but it was incredible. And then we do have people talking about traveling. When it opens up, we have a group that wants to come for a Mount Kilimanjaro climb as soon as possible, really. And we have YAD wants to come back, the group that does YAD, and lead our level 2 and level 3 trained teachers from the academy in more advanced levels of teaching YAD. And so they're coming in 2022, actually. And then hopefully we've been talking about a youth and a teen digital seva for a while, and hopefully that comes to fruition in around the summertime like the middle of the year for 2021. And that's all. And we would love to hear your ideas. So if you have any ideas of how to innovate in ways to do fun things with us digitally or in person when that's possible, please feel free to reach out, email me, and let's do things. I'm gonna pass it back to Paige. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Danielle, and thanks, Danielle, for being such a great connector of all of us. Just a quick update, we're at almost $1,500 that we've raised. Again, total surprise, but we're matching donations up to $5,000 through Michael Schwepp. Happy birthday. So if you haven't donated, donate $1 or something for the holidays. It's our last month to kind of get all this in. And our last presentation is from Fred.
Thank you once again, Paige. It's really a pleasure to be able to start off this conference and most likely to end it again with M&D and impact. Whenever people talk about M&D, people think it's something really very complex, but it's something as simple as you're driving a car from point A to point B. You need to be able to monitor every aspect of the car to ensure that you get from point A to point B in a safe way. If you sleep behind the wheels, your guess is as good as mine on the way. So that is simply monitoring, and that's what we usually do. And then when it comes to evaluation, is that once you get to you're from point A and you get to point B, you simply want to be able to review and see, where did I make mistakes? Did I overtake a truck wrongly? Did I overspeed? Okay, and could this cost me in future? And so that is about evaluations. Now, how we get to do this is that we do have a comprehensive, we do 2 surveys. We do baselines, which is just finding out who are the teachers who are joining before they do teacher training, and who are the students who are joining before, who are joining yoga classes. And we want to know what is their situation before they start yoga practice, in line with what Julie did talk about in terms of a theory of change. And that's what we use to be able to collect that data. That's what we use to collect our data. Sorry, you moved a little bit faster. It's back to the slide again. And so what I was mentioning is that we do 2 comprehensive surveys, baseline and an endline. So an endline is just will just be able to help us know if there is a change. And then we collect this data through in-person surveys and focus group discussions and case studies to be able to collect the stories. And then teachers also help us do a bit of monitoring, collecting that data. When they teach students, they collect the data, and that's part of monitoring. Next slide, please. Okay, so in 2020, our ability to lead in-person data collection process was limited due to the pandemic. And so we had to really think so hard and figure out what would be the best way to do it. This year, we've adopted more mixed methods, in the sense that we've been able to collect data through phone calls. We've been able to do that through emails. And then we also have a bit of in-person data collection, but we did this ensure that all those measures to curb the spread of COVID was taken care of. And so one other thing that we also did this year is we went beyond borders. Previously, especially for the students, we went beyond borders. Previously, we did a lot more surveys in Kenya and partly also in Rwanda. But this year, we have been able to innovate and really stretch beyond the borders and go to other countries: Sierra Leone, Uganda, Tanzania, and the rest of the countries where we are. We are looking to ensure that this happens in the future by encouraging more participatory approaches, involving teachers more. I think this time around we had the biggest group. We are the biggest team of data collectors that comprised mostly of our staff and some of our teachers. Now into the future, we are looking at how can we engage more of our teachers, especially alumni, to be able to get this done. Yeah. And we also look to leverage more on online systems. The system that Julie talked about, we're looking to also make sure that if you're going to have an e-system for the academy, can it also be robust enough, and can it also include an inbuilt M&E systems to be able to help us collect that data, and so that we are able to just have a dashboard. From where we sit, we are able to see what is happening and how far we have gone. So we'll continue to build on this new virtual in-person data collection methodology to better understand our impact, particularly outside Kenya. We will begin collecting data on individual students as opposed to class sizes, so we can better understand how many students we are reaching and who they are.
Thank you, Fred. Thank you, Fred, and thank you, everyone. I know some of this is new information, some of it's not new information. Trust me, there's even more information, and we still went over time. But really, it's just my pleasure, whether you're listening later or listening right now. I am so grateful. My name's Paige. When I started AYP, I mean, this is just, it's so beyond my wildest dreams. How many people we've touched in so many different ways. And for any of you that have the guts to watch a movie, I watched a movie last night called Nairobi Half-Life. I'm sure some of the team have watched it. It was the first time that I watched Nairobi Half-Life, and it's I think like a Grammy Award winning movie. It's a very like well-known movie, but it's really about like the reality of young people living in Kenya. And I watched it last night, and just in front of doing this whole presentation, I'm just left with how much more there is to do. I'm so proud of what we've done. I feel so accomplished. I'm so proud of the team. I'm so proud of all of you who have donated in circumstances when you didn't even know what was going to happen. I'm so grateful. I'm getting even like party balloons over here. But after watching Nairobi Half-Life last night, I'm really challenged to say, what else can we do? How else can we get young people jobs? How else can we get young people out of the cycle of poverty and crime and abuse and mental health issues? And money is energy, you know, so keep donating. I promise to have integrity with your funds and to keep communicating with you what we're doing with your fund, with your money, and to be transparent. And I love you guys. We just, before I leave, we're up to $1,673. We have up to $5,000 that can be matched. Really proud of where we come. I know I'll make a donation after this as well. And there'll be an email that goes out with the slideshow, not necessarily with the webinar, but thank you guys so much. Thank you for this year. Thank you for standing with us. Thank you for creating possibilities. And really just the homework is stay with us. Watch Nairobi Half-Life if you can watch violence. Half the movie I had to go like this. But if you want to know what reality kind of is like here, and stay involved. It's really important to stay involved globally. And thank you to my team. And I love you guys. Thank you.